Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Yes, the Pro Wrestling Post podcast is back. Tell all your friends, tell all your family. My name's Mr. Mark Blake, and with me by my side, via the Atlantic Ocean, is my good buddy, Mr. Marc Madison. How are you, sir?
I am great. Glad to be talking to easily my best friend across the pond and my brother from another mother. Throw every analogy out there. We are connected, bound by wrestling, but general appreciation and admiration for each other too, my friend.
Just a mutual love for life, I think, you know.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes, folks, we are back. We're back in your headphones. We're back in your ears. After a long hiatus, which I'm going to take full responsibility for, is mainly my fault. It was the era of the COVID, and my real life daytime job at the time was becoming more and more demanding. And unfortunately, the little podcast of ours doesn't really bring in the pennies like my real life job. So it was a one or the t'other kind of situation, and I had to choose the real life pennies. But the era of the COVID has passed us by. We're all good. Touch wood, thank God. And yes, we are back. I do apologise to you, Mr. Mark, to all you fellow listeners out there. There's nothing more I can say apart from sorry.
Nothing to be sorry about, mate. I mean, I think when we started talking about bringing this back was maybe the fall. Would you say it was September, August?
Yeah.
And something happened. I happened to get some visitors that graced us and our family with their lovely faces and their presence. Prior, something happened in the summer. Would you happen to know what happened then?
So to catch everyone up, I'm not going to go like month to month, week to week, but long story short is that during the era of the COVID, that's what I'm calling it now, the COVID era, myself and my family were supposed to fly over to the Toronto area to see Mark and his family and spend a good couple of weeks with them. COVID came along, put the kibosh to that plans. So me and my wife, we kept putting it off. And then August 2023, we finally did it. We flew over to see Mark, his beautiful family, spend 2 amazing weeks over there. And we spent so much time together. It kind of reminded us both of the pod and how we would catch up once a week. We would chat for about an hour before we started recording, just to, catch up. How you doing? How was this? How was that? So when me and my family flew back, there was a lot of screw it, pining for each other in a bro way. And we were discussing via WhatsApp, bringing the pod back. How do we bring the pod back? Do we just have a general chat? Do we bring it back as structured as what it was last time? And what you're hearing today is the culmination of 3 months of chatting and working things out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And it's definitely going to be a learning process. So for us, we're getting reacclimated with how to do all of this all over again. And everybody should be looking and listening to Mr. Blake because Mark is the brainchild of getting this all structured. He's the one that talks format. He's the one that knows the P's and Q's. And I just try to see, well, okay, and try to make it on my end. And I just want to follow. And I want to know that it's going to work, and I trust that it's going to work because it worked before. And so please give him all your time. He's the one that makes this tick. So if it doesn't tick, it's my fault. If it does tick, it's all credit to him.
No. I don't know. This is a partnership. This is the pair of us. I'm not going to lie. I am rusty as hell. We had to record the intro twice because I forgot a certain word in the intro. Pretty significant word. It's post, as in pro wrestling post. I forgot that in the intro, so we had to start that again. I did a month's worth of retraining myself on how to edit the podcast. I've recorded about 2 hours worth over the last month where I've cut things down and moved things around to try and make it sound something like a podcast. And my little wingman, who's not so little now, he's 12. He passed. He said it passed. It was good. gave us the green light, and then here we are today. But it is a partnership. I do some of the manual work, and Mark does the manual work in promoting it and posting it onto the the podcast providers of choice that you're listening to right now. But yes, that in a rather long nutshell, that is the state of play for me and Mark over the last 3 and a bit years.
Yes.
That's everyone caught up, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, life and health, have also prevented things from happening, but we're at a different place, both of us, and we're both excited about this. Things can change from week to week, and I think that's part of the fun that Mark and I will have with this is typically, well, there's things that are going to be topical and everyone's going to want to talk about, and we're going to talk about, and then something might strike us about what do you think about doing this and it being a departure from what we maybe did before, but that's what I think is what we're hoping for, and something that if fans were or listeners were catching on to when it came to Twitter or X, Mark was out there asking, share your feedback, things you'd like to know about, things you'd like us to talk about. Please send that in too, and we'd like to incorporate it too because interaction and engagement is always important. So
Yeah, definitely. We need everyone that listens to us just talk to us through our socials. Just drop us a DM, drop us a post, whatever. I did post a couple of days before the Rumble saying that we are recording and we will be looking for your feedback, your input. And what happened is some illnesses across the board put paid to that record. And then last weekend, I took my lovely wife to a little romantic pre-Valentine's getaway. So that put paid to that record. And so here we are right now with this record. So yes, please carry on. DM me, post on our timelines. Me and Mark will drop our socials at the end, just like we used to do. But as Mark did hint, we're not going to stick to the same kind of format and schedule that we did last time. It's going to be a bit more casual. What we want from this podcast is it to sound like two guys in a bar having a beer, chatting wrestling, basically. You won't hear any rustle and bustle of a bar on my end at the moment. You won't hear any alcohol being drunk. I'm strictly on the Coke Zero. But that's the vibe that we're going for.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Depending on when we're recording, some beer might get involved, but I'm thinking earlier in the day might not be. So the thing is, if we're recording at a certain part where possibly beer is getting involved, then things might not sound as coherent, and that could be something that is used against us. Maybe we don't want that, but who knows?
Jeb, there was a podcaster, I can't remember his name, that I used to listen to back in the day. And he used to do, every once in a while, he used to do something called drunk casts, where he would have a fair few beers, have a few guests around, and then about 5 or 6 beers in, they would start a record. And they would just record. The main topic would be wrestling, but it would go on so many tangents because they've had so many beers. So that is something we could definitely do later on in the year, I think.
Yeah, for sure. When nobody's having to worry about work the next day, that's for sure.
That is something we could definitely do later in the year, and that could go one of two ways. It'll either go really, really well, or I could get so drunk that my wife will come down and beat me around the head. Either way, it will still make a great entertainment, I'm sure. So, that being said, with the catch up and the future of the pod all now and done, shall we have a chat about wrestling?
Let's do it.
Right. Now, if I say something to you, you've got to be honest with your answer, right?
All right.
Are we going to get a bloody ending to the story?
After this week, if we do get an ending, this is the question: are we going to? I want to say yes, but I'm apprehensive to say when.
Yeah, it was so yesterday. We're recording on a Saturday here. So yesterday was obviously SmackDown, and Triple H stood in the middle of the ring and announced that Cody will be facing Roman for the title at Mania. At the kickoff show, obviously you all know that Cody and Roman and The Rock and Seth were involved in a in a little tete-a-tete, a little back and forth on stage. And yeah, were they a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Conroy? Hi there, Dan. How you doing? Told you I'll get your name on the pod. He messaged me and basically said, "Are they setting up for night one, Seth and Cody against Rock and Roman, and then night two it will be Cody and Roman? Could that work?"
I've heard that, and it certainly protects a Rock from potentially getting hurt because he's got somebody that he can lean on, and he's working against two tremendous workers in Cody and Seth. They've certainly pivoted. Obvious, like for anybody that suggests otherwise, they pivoted from what their initial intention was for where they were going with the main event.
That was like one of the quickest 180s in wrestling history. Seriously.
Well, it's funny. Like I was so here, and I'm sure it probably airs other places, but right after SmackDown, the main event airs,
Mhm.
and they're replaying last week's altercation where Cody clearly said, "I'm coming for you, Roman, but not at WrestleMania."
Mm.
And now we're going to act like that never happened. I mean, there is, because even on the Monday, Seth is still essentially begging Cody to challenge him for the title.
Yep.
But 3 nights earlier, he just clearly said it. They could be setting up for that tag match and act as though whatever happened, handshake, hug, face to face, didn't happen because they needed to. I think a story is going to end, whether it's Cody's or whether it's Roman's, and by Roman meaning does Rock assert himself? Is there
Um, we've spoken about how if they're going to do Rock Roman, it cannot be for the title, because it will be the
no?
biggest anticlimax in the history of wrestling. Because we all know the Rock is not going over. It makes no
No.
sense. He's not going to become the champ and carry the company on his back for a month or so because, well, he's got a movie career and also he's now on the bloody board of directors. So
Mhm.
that is not going to happen. So why can't Roman drop the title to Cody, then start the program with Rock, which probably would end up with a SummerSlam match?
Right. Which just as easily could be for the bragging rights of head of the table.
Exactly, which makes more sense storyline wise than putting the title on him.
That face to face for a title makes no sense because Roman's a non-competitive champion. I mean, I
Hmm.
think what was the number? Somewhere like 15 title defenses in 3 years.
Yeah, it's not.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's not like it's not your working champion like Seth, which is
Yeah,
another way of the booking is they're making his title. Who said it? Was it Drew that says like the working the
man
workers
said,
title,
yeah,
which what the IC used to be back in the day,
yeah.
and he's making the undisputed championship the more prestigious because it's not being defended as much. That's, in my eyes, that's crap. If you're not defending
Mhm.
it, it's getting pushed to the back. It doesn't matter if he comes out and cuts a promo once a week. If you're not defending it, I mean, what happens? I mean, I'm going to go really old school here, but didn't Gorilla Monsoon have like the 30-day rule? You had to defend it every 30 days. When the hell did that get rescinded? I
It
just don't
doesn't
know,
even get
man.
mentioned.
It doesn't. It
I mean,
doesn't get mentioned at all.
no. You and I are the probably ones that will remember that, and those of us that follow it a little closely as we have for years. But if that 30-day rule was even enforced now, then we could understand it.
Hmm.
So injuries aside, I get that maybe 60, like in all intents and purposes trying to keep the title on somebody, maybe, but he's gone months and months and months without defending, and I get that the idea was possibly for the length of this title reign and for it to be something
Hmm.
historic, but I just can't see him going into Bruno territory. That's another 3 years.
No, please no.
That's
God,
well,
no.
no, I mean, but see, and that's different. We're in a different society now that's watching wrestling than did then, that could appreciate it because he was a competitive champion. Bruno's selling out Madison Square Gardens and competing.
Yeah,
That that's different,
yeah.
right?
You could
This
definitely see that if Roman was in that same vein and he's defending 30, 45 days, then I think me and many others would stomach him a lot more than him popping up
Mhm.
and going, "Hi, I'm your champ. No, I'm not fighting tonight. Bloodline, go get him." It's there was another wrestler who said it's becoming, predict. I think it was Drew again. It's predictable. You have a match with Roman, you end up getting taken out by the Bloodline halfway through the match. Roman pins
Yeah,
you 1, 2, 3, jump.
yeah.
So if they're even scripting promos about how predictable it's getting, surely that means it's coming towards the end of its natural run.
Mhm, mhm.
I don't know.
Wasn't it
Oh, sorry.
wasn't it Paul Heyman wasn't it Paul Heyman that said at one point, "Oh, we're probably in about the 3rd inning." What was
Yeah.
that in that was I wanna say around SummerSlam,
Mm,
but they've lost characters. When he's not on, they lose momentum.
yeah. I don't know. There's
It's
another thing. If like he's the face of the company, he holds the more prestigious belt.
Mhm.
Is he going to Australia? Is he going to go do Elimination Chamber? They've already said he's not going to be there. It's Australia's a huge. Well, the whole of that region is a huge market, and he's not there. What? It's
Can they
just,
change that? Can they pivot from that? I mean, they've pivoted from their direction before. Can they not?
dude. If they pivoted like so quickly with the Cody, I'll see you later down the line. To I'm going to face you at WrestleMania in the space of 5 days.
Well,
They could easily
right,
do it with Roman.
right, but yeah, but with Roman being there, it's not necessarily he has to compete. I mean, he could get involved, he could be implicated somehow. Um,
Yeah.
but then somebody had said that I don't know, somebody booking ideas, but somebody suggested, I read somewhere that Rock faces Seth, but I'm like, he would have to be in the Elimination Chamber. How does that make sense?
Mm.
Why?
That's
Although
uh,
that one's a stretch. I'm not really buying that one so much,
this
but
this is
I do
this is the
like
same Rock that is as ring rusty as Mr. Ring Rust from Ring Rust Town. He's not wrestled a match in so long, and you really reckon his first match back is going to be in one of the most dangerous ones, an Elimination Chamber?
how
The
does that
the
make
guy
sense?
that
No,
sits on the
exactly.
board.
Mm,
Oh, I don't know, but yeah, that's Roman and the bloodline and the story. Is the story going to get closed at WrestleMania? I hope. I hope so, because it's gone 2 years now, and
mm,
it needs some kind of closure. It either needs to be in Cody's favour and he's got the belt and everything else, or he it, he gets pinned clean, no bloodline interference, and that's done and dusted, and we move on from it. Because I don't think we could go another year of the same old story. Personally,
See, this is the thing that I find with Cody though. If he doesn't win and he loses clean, what's his purpose then? Is
yeah,
he lost?
they've spent
Is he
so much
so
time and money pushing him as the biggest babyface of the entire company for him to get to the mountain a second time and not actually reach the summit 2 years on the trot. Uh, we all said it last year when he didn't win. It was like, well, you've just killed his momentum. And they slowly got him back, and he was working his way up there and won the Rumble, back-to-back Rumbles, and he's right there again. He's number one guy. I don't think it would work again if they screwed him over, basically. I'm
Mhm.
going to be honest. But
No,
there we
I
go.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's, again, you lot out there, our fellow listeners, let us know what you think. Maybe we're seeing it through rose tinted glasses. Maybe we're too old school, and we're relying on the old school ways of where, you know, maybe we're, as Mark said, this is a different generation now. I mean, I'll tell you how different it is. Did you see the deal they've inked with Twitter? I'm not going to call it that stupid word, but did you see the deal they've inked with Twitter about WWE Speed?
Yes, I have seen that.
Yeah, 5-minute
I'm
matches.
not sure if everybody else has seen that. Maybe you can elaborate.
WWE and Twitter have come to an agreement where the WWE will be showing wrestling matches for free on their page on Twitter. The difference is these matches are less than 5 minutes. Now, whether or not that includes entrances, I don't know, because I'd love to see a Randy Orton entrance and then a match all done in 5 minutes. That would be amazing. Or Taker back in the day, you know. But yeah, there's going to be selected matches on Twitter that will last 5 minutes or less. Is this a case of me being old and boring? Because I like to watch wrestling. I don't like to watch spot after spot after spot after spot, and then because that's what WWE Speed is going to be.
Yeah.
Whereas my 12-year-old son, who has the attention span of a gnat, would quite happily get his head out of his mobile phone to watch 5 minutes on Twitter and then go back to his daily scrolling of Fortnite stuff. Is it a generational thing? Am I too old? Do I not understand this?
We can't be the market, because if we can't appreciate something that's so fast that we're trying to figure out the logic behind why it's doing it, we can't be their demographic. We can't be their key
I can
demographic.
appreciate everything that would go in a 5-minute match. I tell you what, if they do a 5-minute match where it's just lock up, international, headlock takeover, rest hold, submission win, if they could do that in 5 minutes, I'm sold. All right, because you could do so much in that. But with, as I, you know, with spot after spot, like who called them spot monkeys? Someone called them spot monkeys a few years back.
Yeah.
I can't. I do. I love the art of wrestling. I love holds. I love takeovers. I love submissions. I love counter submissions, counter holds. I love all of that. I also love the high flying spot stuff. Put it all together in a 20-minute match, I am all yours. You take away bits and pieces, you're losing me. And like you said, we are not the demographic, even though we should be the demographic, because we're the one that hold all the money that the youngsters, like our kids, want and need for WWE to be spent on.
Right. Is the risk of injury in having these types of matches greater because there's such a focus on speed, getting a win within 5 minutes, or submission or any of that, with the need for speed? Where's Keanu Reeves? So throwback to 1995 for anybody that's old enough to catches up. But yeah, I mean, wait, Need for Speed, wasn't that Top Gun? I think I'd even
That was
older.
Top Gun as well as
It
Speed.
was, sorry. Okay. But at the same time, like, is there a greater risk of injury if this is what they're gonna be pushing as a program, and the push to get everything in within that 5 minutes?
Okay, do you remember when Ricochet and Will Ospreay wrestled in New Japan? They had like a best of 3 series or something along those lines. They had,
Okay.
I think they had about 15, 20-minute matches. But the first 5 minutes, it was literally spot town. It was so quick and exciting, but it also made the near falls that happened completely unbelievable, because you knew it was too early for a near fall to happen.
Yeah.
So how, as you said, you know, with the risk of injury, with the risk of trying to make any moves and pinfalls count, is it going to work? Well, actually, no, forget what I just said, because obviously it does work, because they've already filmed about 5 or 6 matches in the can.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm just proper grumpy old man today, I think.
No,
I'm sorry, folks.
see, we've come back on. We've got reading glasses. We're asking people to come off of our lawn. It's really pretty obvious.
Dude, I
We
actually own 2 separate pairs of glasses. I have one for reading and one for distance. That's how goddamn old I am. I've got a bad back. I've got bad legs. I never wrestled a match in my entire life, and I've probably got more injuries than quite a lot of the people that I've trained with. You know, it's
Oh
unreal.
my.
Ugh, but hey, never mind.
But I mean, I think it's valid though too, because I think they're gonna have to gauge this long term, right? I mean, it's gonna give obviously guys like Ricochet a chance to compete, and we'll see them fairly regularly. I'm sure you'll see Tozawa pretty regularly. Those that tend to be faster, I'm sure it'll be an opportunity for guys to be on TV. Although this is really an opportunity for those, if anything, to making their time count. And so if you're on a platform where you have 12 million followers
Mm.
and you have a 5-minute match, your chance for your match to sit there and potentially resonate,
Hmm.
float about, that says something. So I'm sure there's some merit to it. I just curious long term. I really am.
I'm all for being made a complete and utter fool of, and these speed matches become a lot more mainstream. All right, I'm all for it. Any kind of wrestling is good wrestling. Okay, but for
Mhm.
me personally, I really need to be won over to appreciate this more than what the younger generation. I've got to stop being so old. Seriously. Um, the those damn youngsters. Um, yeah, they what they appreciate more the quickness.
Mhm.
Right, that's enough WWE for now. Like I said, we're back. We're still trying to find our feet again. So we're gonna pop over to the other side now. We're gonna talk some AEW. What have you seen this week on AEW that's piqued your interest, dude?
Well, we saw a 64-year-old become a world tag team champion.
Listen,
And
there's me whinging about being old, and then you got Sting jumping off bloody concourses and everything else, and I've really got to shut up, haven't
well, both of us, I think we're both in the same boat with that. But I mean, that's something about how he was just treated right.
I? Hmm.
Right from the minute the door opened and it was like TK's whole intention was how do we restore perception, legacy for Sting? Do his matches on the grand scale mean anything because they're gonna go towards something? No. No one ever thought that, but I think the fact that it turned into something that ended up into a title win, says something too. Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. I think he's worked really hard. He's has to have had something that he's wanted to prove himself, and I find it really interesting though. Ric Flair coming back. I thought he was supposed to be on along the ride with
Yeah.
Sting. Have you seen him much of at all
Oh
since
no,
that?
I've seen plenty of Rick. I've seen plenty of
Oh,
Rick's image on Woo Energy that's been promoted every 30 seconds. But the man
but not.
himself, no,
Oh.
not much, not much at
And I
all.
wonder why that is. I wonder why that is.
Didn't he? Wasn't there like a Twitter spat a few months back where he had to go at someone, or someone had to go at him, and I think he was taken off TV to for the heat to die down. I don't think they put him back on because the heat hasn't died down. I'm not too sure. Let us know, folks, because I'm old, and my memory isn't as good. But I'm sure there was something he said on Twitter about that. And
I'm
yeah,
sure I'm sure you're exactly right.
and yeah, as you said, he's been very conspicuous by his absence. You make a big deal of bringing him into the company, and then all we've seen for the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, is his likeness, a very young likeness, of his Woo energy drink, which luckily you can't get over here because if you did, oh my god, my wife would probably force me, as I would every time I'd crack open a can, I would woo in her face, and then actually she might like it. She gives her a reason to chop me across the chest, but. I mean, you know my wife. She knows she'd do it as well.
We adore her. We adore her.
But yeah, it's as you said that TK AEW have actually done him right, done him the right way that WWE should have done when they had him, and they just used him unfairly. I think is the word. But teaming up with Darby has given him a whole lease. I think he's gone on record himself saying that Darby has given him a whole lease of life and all this kind of stuff. And up until a few weeks ago, when Nicholas and Matthew came back, I was convinced it would be Darby against Sting, passing of the torch kind of moment at Revolution.
Mhm.
How wrong
That
was
which
I?
would have made Well, it would have made sense. I just don't know if that's the kind of match convincingly they could have pulled off for like 20 minutes. I mean, Darby, I don't know if Darby seems so selfless that he wouldn't want to win. It almost feels that way
Yeah,
because
yeah,
usually the stories that you lose on your way out, right? That's
yeah.
the passing of the torch, and yet I don't know. I don't really think that. Well, for one thing, this match is with them against the Young Bucks. I kind of wonder if he is going to just as well lose on the way out because the Young Bucks are so established. Do they really need another reign? Like, does it mean something more? Like, if
I,
anything, then
I, I,
then they
I.
can
Go on. Sorry, dude.
well they can always boast about the fact that they retired Sting. Well, they didn't really retire Sting; it was announced beforehand. But that would be something that they can hang their hat on. I just don't know. Just don't know.
I thought it. As you said, it was going to be the feather in the cap for the Bucks. He's an old man. It's now a young person's kind of industry. On your way, old dude, all this kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
storyline wise, it's great. I'm loving it, and I'm not missing Ric Flair. To be fair,
No,
I'm not
no,
missing
no.
him at all. If anyone out there, any of our lovely listeners can hook me up with some Woo Energy, hit me up on Insta or Twitter, and I promise you that when I open it up and I woo in my wife's face, I'll get it all on camera. Samoa Joe has finally got his opponent slash opponents for Revolution, and it was the rubber match between Swerve and Mr. Hangman. And as you said before we come on air, was there a double turn? It sure looked like it.
Oh, certainly. The impression, and we, like you said, off air, we were talking about this leading up until the end when you even have Swerve asking for 5 more minutes. First
Mm.
off, the heel almost never asks for more time, and then the fact that it's denied by anybody, Hangman Page.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
now you got to stop him.
yeah. His
Yeah,
comeback. Is it me, or does he look a little bit like Magnum TA?
yeah, only just not the persona.
Oh
But
no,
yeah, I
no.
see.
Facially, I cannot stop looking at him and thinking that's Magnum TA, you know. But
Mhm,
yeah, he's
mhm.
come back with this new. Well, he came back with like a purpose. You know, he wants Swerve out of the way, and B, he wants that title, and that's be kind of come all encompassing. And along the way, he's gone a big like f you and f you to anyone in his way, and I think he definitely f you'd the crowd and cemented that turn. He's a heel. So is he gonna did the Elite disband? Is he gonna rejoin Matthew and Nicholas? I can't say that in a straight face. Is he gonna rejoin the Bucks
Well,
and become like a heel authority figure with them, or what? I don't know, but I'm excited. I'm excited about the freeway that's going to happen. I mean, Joe's going to be in it. He's going to be obviously dishing out a lot of punishment across the way, and obviously the chemistry that Swerve and Hangman have got is just insanely good. It could be a very very decent freeway, which have been far. Oh my god, can't get my words out. Few and far between.
and I think that's always the important part is how are three people going to mesh and make it work and make it convincing and well, you got three guys, two of which are total pros in how they work with each other. And then Joe's just got history in general, the way he carries himself and how he
Mm.
holds the title and his promo work. And I'm curious as to if he retains, because if all signs point to Swerve walking out with the title, was Joe's role always to be transitional champion, like that
I hope
in
not.
between? Because that's
I
not fair to
really
him. It totally
no,
isn't.
exactly. This guy has been amazing in every company. I remember watching him back in Ring of Honor back in the day, and even though he wasn't what's the word? He wasn't presented as a star by the company. You knew he was. You knew that every time he stepped foot in the ring, you were going to get a 4-star match. You know,
Yeah.
and he's been like that in every company since. Even in WWE. I mean, who the hell he stood toe to toe with
Brock.
with Brock. who we try not to talk too much of, but
Yep.
and he had a decent match with Brock, and now he's in AEW, and he had an amazing match with Punk at All Out, All In. I don't know which one it bloody is. The Wembley show,
Okay.
which we watched together, by the way. I like to add, we
Mhm.
watched that match together, and it was an amazing match. So the guy can go, and as you said, throw in the other two who are consummate professionals. It's going to be good. I think it's too early for Swerve. I think Hangman may never get the gold again because he just never caught fire with the crowd once he had his feud with Kenny.
No.
Leave it on Joe, and then Joe is probably going to drop it to Adam Cole, and then MJF's going to come back at some point to take off Adam Cole. That's the way I
So
see long-term booking.
So you don't see Swerve getting it this year?
It's too early. If this double turn is actually going to stick, and he's now a face, you're not going to get the face win, especially one as how can I put it, a young face. I mean, as in he's just not long turned. To stick the title on him is too soon. They've got to do to Swerve what they did with Hangman back in the day. They've got to make him chase, make it worthwhile for people to support him and get behind him and want him to see him win the gold. And I think it's too early.
So what does that do to the rest of Mogul Embassy? Do they all turn?
I can see he can either walk away and take Prince Nana with him, because again, I think Nana. We spoke again like before we spoke before we recorded that Nana was a huge thing in helping him turn face because of the silly dance, and then he'll either walk away and the Mogul Embassy, the other block, will carry on and do whatever they do, or they will turn on him and kick him out of the group. But I think that's been done to death, especially with Damage Control.
Yeah.
So that's what I said. What do you see happening?
That's interesting. Just I think that Adam Cole being injured and MJF being out, injury or acting, whatever the reasons are. I think Swerve by the end of the year, I guess this would be my prediction. By the end of 2024, he will be a champion. And I think the company needs to look at how can they make history again. Well, they've never had a Black World Champion, and I
Yeah, he
think,
said that himself, didn't he?
and I think that's, you want to be on the right side of history, and WWE's been the first to do all those things, and brought Bobby Lashley and Kofi Kingston, and Ben. Yes, they've been around longer, but it's something they haven't done before. And yes, Athena holding it with Ring of Honor as the women's champion is notable. Unfortunately, Ring of Honor doesn't get the attention. Just it doesn't. It just, unless you're subscribing to their channel.
It's a story for another day.
Yeah, Swerve being or holding that title, at least that's what I'm gonna hope to. But I can see the connecting of the dots. I don't know what's gonna happen with that whole Adam Cole dropping the title or beating Samoa Joe. I can easily see, because it's easy with heels. They lie, they cheat. You can't trust them. So how can we depend that everybody's gonna keep their word
Yeah,
in doing their part, right? Who's to like? I can't see Wardlow just handing over a title.
I can't see him winning it. I can't see him winning it.
No.
Even as TNT champion, he wasn't that impressive. He's Mr. Bland. He's Goldberg with hair. Yeah, I said it. Come at me. I don't care. I don't like him.
But how fair was that whole booking with him as the champion, though? Too, he's there. He seems to have steam, and then he's off TV. Is he off TV because of the response of the crowd? Is he off TV? But whose fault? Like,
didn't he
know.
have visa issues? Didn't he win the title? And didn't they have to go like up your way, Canada? But he couldn't get across because there was visa issues. So they kept, because I'm sure they did like an extended run, like they're going to do in a few weeks. In a few weeks' time, they did like 3 or 4 shows in Canada, and then he lost all momentum and ended up losing the title. I'm sure it was something along those lines.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've never rated him. He's average at best. He's, in my eyes, he's not world championship material. He's not even mid-level material. Stick him in a tag team and he'll probably go flying, big man, little man kind of routine. But
Yeah, yeah. But
yeah,
then that's where Big Bill is excelling, and I wonder where his
yeah,
future will be after, you know?
yeah, that's a shame. I've heard rumblings that Enzo's trying to wheedle his way into AEW to
Mm.
try and reform. Yeah, a lot of people have
Yeah.
said no, not happening. But stranger things have happened, as we've seen
Mhm,
through the years.
mhm, mhm. Something else kind of leaked out this week, well, leaked. I mean, it was almost like the elephant in the room. Tony Khan had announced big business that's supposed to be happening in Boston.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so what did you think? Like, I didn't even catch the graphic until somebody eagle-eyed looked at it and said, "Oh, Boston spelled with 2 S's. Are those
Yeah.
dollar signs on the S's?" I mean,
It also got leaked that if you don't know, folks, obviously we're talking about Mercedes. Is it Monet?
Monet. I
Monet.
like the
There we go.
Monet.
Monet. Yeah. Sorry, it's my common Britishness coming out. Um,
That's right.
that that we're talking about her. This show's going to be, but you know how the Last Dance was it no Rampage or Collision that was shown in Chicago, that was CM Punk's debut after like 7 years out. This is the
Yeah.
same kind of treatment that they're giving to Mercedes. Boston's a
Mm.
hometown, all this kind of stuff. There are reports that came out that she's actually been on the books of AEW since early January, and they're keeping her off until Boston.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's all right for some, isn't it? You sign with a company,
Yeah.
sits at home for 6 weeks, counting those Benjamins, as she's obviously doing, because she's all about the Monet. And yeah, she's going to get a huge ass pop. Is she going to be face? Is she going to be heel? I don't know. That women's division is getting bloated. I'm hoping that there can be some stability in it, because you've got
Yeah.
Tony Storm, who, if anyone knows me, knows that I didn't really rate Tony Storm. Timeless Tony Storm, the whole character aspect of her is absolutely amazing. I can see her having a great match. Or sorry, that's wrong. I can see her having a great build with Mercedes.
Mm.
Who else you've got? You've got
Deanna
the
Prazo.
Outcasts are about to implode, explode. I don't know which way it goes. That's all happening. So the women's division is looking good. It's looking bloated. The Boston show, the big business, it could be good. It could be really, really good. As long as it's, how can I put it? As long as they put her front and center, and it's not like a quick reveal. Hey, look, she's here. And then she's pushed to the back, and then the show carries on as normal. It needs to be about her.
Agreed. I think that's the concern though, right? Is like, does she come
Mm,
on and then there's all this hoopla about her, just like potentially Okada coming,
yeah.
and then they're just another warm body. And then
You've got
they
a ready-made
sit.
story. You've got a ready-made story for her.
Mhm.
She just comes in and beats the crap out of Willow Nightingale, because she's the one that apparently broke her ankle back in New
Oh,
Japan,
right, for the strong title. Yeah,
the
New
strong
Japan
title.
strong title. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
she was
yeah.
supposed to win it, and she broke her ankle, and therefore Willow had to get it. Another person who was given a title way too early, but through no fault of her own. But yeah, you've got a
Yeah.
ready-made story there, so you could easily what 2.5 months build,
Mhm.
storyline with that, and then see how she goes. But I'm excited. It'd be nice to see her back. My little wingman was convinced that she was going to come back to WWE to help her ward off the Damage Control girls. Obviously, that's wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Naomi is there now, so it's not to say that that still couldn't happen because
Yeah, yeah. She's not a four horsewoman, though, is she?
there's still friendships that are
Yeah,
there, legit friendships with her Baileys.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. There was something else you spoke about before we jumped on air, and that's I still can't get my head around this. The firing of
Yeah.
Scott D'Amore from TNA. Oh, got it right. I didn't say Impact. I said TNA. I don't understand the reasoning. No, that's a lie. I do understand their reasoning, because apparently he asked for a bigger budget to get more wrestlers in, and rather than
Mhm.
being a nice boss, and we'll talk about it later down the line, they terminated his bloody contract.
Yeah.
That's unreal. I don't. And then to top it off, to top it off, rather than put another wrestling personality who knew what they were doing in charge, they've put in, as you rightly called it beforehand, Jim Herd Mark II.
Yeah. Maybe give people, listeners that may not be as aware, some
So
as to who
back in
Herd is.
the early days of WCW, there was lots of hiring and firings at the very top of the company, and for some reason, WCW thought it would be, actually no, it wasn't WCW, it was Turner. Turner Broadcasting thought it would be great to put a non-wrestling personality in charge of the company. His name was Jim Herd. He had no history with wrestling whatsoever. But, dear listeners, he was a very good man manager who did absolutely diddly squat. It was the beginning of the wrestlers running the asylum kind of comment. And this is pretty much the same situation right now with TNA. Just as they've turned a corner, just as they've signed a lot of stars, just as they were starting to get traction again, they've shot themselves in the foot, I think.
I agree. I completely agree. I think that's the problem, right? You've built morale. You've built a locker room of people that just rave over being there. They're wrestlers. It seems like everybody that's giving 110% is not there because of the money. Because if they were, they necessarily wouldn't be there. So Scott made them important. He valued them. There's a "We Want Scott" hashtag that's floating around Twitter, and it's hard not to look at TNA and where they were in such a dark place with the talent, with the management structure, people that were departing, and Scott coming back. And honestly, like, I think there's about roughly 20 years of him being with the company in one way or another,
Yeah,
maybe off and on a little bit.
yeah,
His importance is going to be so lost. I can't see people trusting the direction. They feel
no.
like they lied to, as far as saying that they're all trying to be positive, Anthem,
But just
in what they're
towing the
saying.
company
Just
line. You know, it's the
yeah,
new guy.
yeah,
It's all give him big thumbs up and pat him on the back and send him to a certain doom.
yeah. I just don't know. I think there's going to be. Will there be a mass exodus, or they're going to just wait for their contracts to end? But already Jordan Grace impressed WWE management when she showed up
Yes.
at the Rumble. Who's to not say she's not going to be on their radar when her contract is up, and she's already has allegiances with people that are in the company already. So
Hmm.
there are some really talented people that are very disappointed. Whether it was Gail Kim, who's also been a long-standing member and has a long-standing relationship, I can only wonder what she's thinking about all of this. And people that were committed to Scott, Anthony Corelli or Santino Morello, who's had long-standing relationship with lots of guys and girls. And so it's sad. It's really sad because he immediately makes something better. Somebody had suggested TK should consider having him come in and take over Ring of Honor and making that something special. But there's a whole list of things that need to be done to make something show up and matter. And I think that's exposure. But him taking over a particular brand, I can see him working for WWE based on the relationship, almost in what a Gabe Sapolsky type
Mm.
relationship was when he was there, right? And how he
Yeah.
was running Evolve, and then Gabe had a good eye for talent, and Scott has that same eye. But it's a shame. But I don't see Scott doing that because I think that was a step down. He was a president of a company. I think so. I don't know. He certainly deserves better.
Oh God, yeah, yeah, 100%. He. I think he was only made vice president or wherever it was. The title that he held before he was unceremoniously booted. I think he was only in that role for like 18 months, 2 years. But then he was always the go-between between the management, Anthem, and the wrestlers. And he steadied the ship. He absolutely. I didn't watch a lot of Impact at the time. I had a fair few friends who did and gave me like insight on what's going on. You got to watch this match, etc., etc., etc. And over time, it became you got to watch this match to you've got to watch the show. You've got to watch this.
Yeah.
And that is in part. I'm not putting it all on his shoulders, but that is in part to Scott D'Amore and the stability that he gave to that company. Now with him gone, as you said, with this Jim Herd Mark II coming in, I'm really sorry, folks. I don't know his real name. I think it's
Anthony Ciccone or Ciccione.
Yeah, that's the one.
I
He's
think
very good
that's
at man management. That's all we need to know.
Mhm.
Okay, he doesn't need to know wrestling ins and outs. He doesn't need to know business. He's very good at man management, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Is this going to start, as you said, the downward cycle? I don't know. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I hope upon hope that it works. That he steadies the ship, and they can carry on going on that upward trajectory that they're on, because they're doing really, really well. The storylines are great. The matches are great. They've got. I think they just announced the other day that they're doing 2 shows at WrestleMania weekend in Las Vegas. I'm sure I read. They're
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Okay.
but they're on that road, and I just hope that this doesn't derail it, so to speak. We are nearly hitting the go home time, dude.
We
Nearly
are.
there. This is a very, very, very quick hour. I'm not going to lie. I can't believe this is this is doing really well. Really, really well. Apologies again, dear listeners, if I was sounding a bit rusty and a bit, how can I put it? Like I had a broom up my arse. Very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very proper and, proper British and all this kind of stuff. I felt myself relax as the hour has gone on, and I've dropped the accent, and you can hear my commonness come through. So again, I do apologise.
And I think that's what makes it so genuine, right? Your passion sticks out. It's honest, it's real, and it really is. I feel like you've just finished a pint. I've just finished a pint, and we're ready to keep going, right? And it
I've
felt
got
good.
to be
It was
careful.
good.
I've got to be careful with my pints, because I've got to be very careful. I did have a fair few last weekend, and I kind of said to myself and my body, I've got to be careful, because I'm going out to watch the Super Bowl tomorrow night with Mr. Conroy. Hi, 2 times in one pod. Check you out. Put the check in the mail. Well, I'm going out with him tomorrow night, and we're both like, we're not going to drink. We're not going to drink. And then earlier today, we was like, oh, I really fancy a beer today. So we've got to be careful. But yes, it has as the conversation's gone on, I've felt a lot more relaxed. And hopefully
Good.
throughout the coming weeks, it will just get so much more relaxed that we don't even check times or even look at the hour run sheet, which I've got right in front of me, and everything else. Give us time, folks. We will be so relaxed. You'll feel like you was in the bar with us. That's the
Oh,
plan.
for sure.
That's the plan. Oh,
Definitely,
we could
definitely.
do a pro wrestling post podcast get together in a pub. We could
We
record
could.
from a pub. Oh my word.
That'd be great. That'd
Oh,
be
my
great.
mind's doing overtime now.
Well, the lovely Blake family has talked about coming back, and who knows, we may have an international record happen over a couple of weeks' time. I think that would be a lot of fun too, and see what that'd be like.
Yes. Yes. Christmas 26. That's the plan.
Yep,
Christmas
that's the
26.
plan.
Christmas in Canada. And then we'll we could, oh my dude, we could have that drunk cast in person.
That would be
Oh,
great.
oh.
Uh,
Pencil it in. Pencil it in. It's a possibility.
okay, it could
Right.
work. It
On
could
that
definitely work.
bombshell. On that bombshell. Let's go. You've got things to do. It is coming up to, what time is that? It's coming up to nearly 9 o'clock my time. And
Oh my.
I'm going, got things to do, like edit this pod and then send it over to you. Right. So on that lovely note, let's do our socials. Where can people find you, Mark?
If you want to reach me personally, that's a conversation for another day. But if you're going to reach me on my socials personally, It would be at the Marc Madison. If you were to reach out to our website socials, it would be at Pro Wrestling PST. Again, man, I wish Twitter allowed you to add an extra letter. I'm still searching for the vowel O. Cannot fit it in. It looks like Pacific time, but sadly, that's about as close as we can get. And yeah, that would be the site social. Yourself?
I am on the Twitter again. I'm not using that bloody stupid name of theirs. I'm on the Twitter at the Mark Blake, and I'm on the Insta. Do you know what? I don't actually know what my Insta is. Okay. So I'm on Insta at the _Mark _Blake. It's all about those underscores.
Definitely. I'm on the Insta too.
Are you?
Yes, at Pro Wrestling Post.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant a personal one. I was like,
No,
this is news to me.
no.
Yes, Mark is also on
Yeah,
the on. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, it's keeping secrets. That's not good.
No, not dropping
Oh.
that here.
Yeah. So if you've got any questions, any queries, any subjects you want us to talk about, anything at all, you just want to talk wrestling, just hit us up. We'll name drop you on the pod. You can send the checks in the mail at a later date. It's all good. Times are hard, we know, but just talk to us. We are here for you. Okay, we talk about things that hopefully you will let us know that you need talking about. That's us. It's time to go. So, Mark, I shall speak to you very, very soon. We do plan on this being a fortnightly podcast. So you will probably hear another one of us in 2 weeks' time. But there may be times, always check your socials. There may be times we drop an emergency podcast. Something huge may happen. I don't know.
Mhm.
It could be Mercedes Moné going back to WWE. It could be anything. But when we do, we will let you know that we're dropping this emergency podcast. Just putting it out there, okay? So it's every 2 weeks, but always check the socials for us. Is that right, Mark?
For sure.
Excellent. Right. My dude, I shall speak to you very soon.
Definitely. We speak daily, folks. I mean, if we're not messaging each other silly memes or gifs or reels about things that only we would appreciate because of our age, we'll just do a watch along, and our kids will be a part of that too, and we'll laugh and lose our minds over it, and our wives will shake their heads and look at us thinking, you guys are there's some real psychological things going on over there we need to be sure of. And no, we're of all of our faculties. Oh, by the way, you weren't sure about whether it was all in or all out. Remember, it wasn't brawl out. Brawl out was so with CM Punk against Samoa Joe. I think it was all in.
All in, yeah. I think you're right.
I think it was all in.
I should be checking this personally, but I've forgotten.
Yeah, so and that was, we had just come back. So I know we were trying to say goodbye. Sorry, I was just struck with something. You can cut this out if you want, but we had just come back from a Toronto Blue Jays game, and our wives were reporting there was something about CM Punk having a fight backstage with Jack Perry, and
That was awesome.
Actually, we had just walked in to that match or something, and we don't know what was necessarily happening. Like, so per se with that, it's not until the days later did things unfold.
Yeah. Good times. Well, not for
Yeah.
Punk and Perry, but for us, it was good times.
Yeah, indeed.
Right, dude. I will catch you very, very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Stick with us. We will get more professional, laid back, but more professional, I promise. Until then, adios, ta-ta, sayonara, bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.